welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith, and this is part number 8 of my 7th Continent Classic Edition playthrough of the Forbidden Sanctuary. Now, if you joined me for all the previous episodes up until now, you'll know we just came out of a temple and we found our 4th secret of the Forbidden Sanctuary. And of course, if we can collect all 6 of them, that's going to give us all the knowledge we need, hopefully, as long as we piece it together correctly, to get through the Forbidden Sanctuary safely. Now, there is a possibility I could go into the Forbidden Sanctuary without having all the secrets, but of course that's going to limit my knowledge and piecing the whole puzzle together and making the right choices as I go through. The first thing I want to do before we jump into the gameplay is make one correction from the last video that's actually going to give me a benefit that is badly needed right now, and that comes down to food. At around the 1250 mark of the last video, instead of taking actual meat, which is a 001 card, I instead took a 101 card, which is the tired condition. Yes, I hurt myself for killing some rats. I should not have grabbed that tired condition. I shouldn't have also paid to actually get rid of that thing by spending energy, but I did. There's nothing I can do about that now. We're too far along, but one thing I can do to balance out my mistake is to give myself the meat I would have gotten from killing the rats. And thank goodness, because my action deck at this point in the video and at the tail end of the last video is down to 6 cards. First thing I'm going to do to start this playthrough off is I'm going to use my Remember card. Choose a card in the discard pile and add it to your hand. I need something that can create fire. So I have found the Fire Making Kit, one of a couple things in my discard pile I could have used to create fire. This one's really good for me because, as you can see, there's some foliage there that'll reduce the cost by 1, and there is some of that there. The leaf symbol is there, so that's great. That'll knock it down. So I'll go ahead and place this Fire Making Kit into my hand now. The Remember card is going to go in the discard pile, and next I'm going to go ahead and craft this thing like I just mentioned. So 1 card off the top to create this thing, and the first card off the top is Knowledge is Power, and I only have 4 blue skill cards in my hand right now, so I'll go ahead and take this and place it in my hand. The Fire Making Kit has been created, so we'll go ahead and put a single pip on that, and just so you're aware, the meat is actually tied to one of my other inventory items connected to them, the rope. And just as fast as that Fire Making Kit showed up in my inventory, I've already used it. I've created fire, which you can see there on my space, and I'm now going to go ahead and consume the meat to bring 6 cards from the discard pile back into my deck. My action deck is definitely seeming a little bit better now. It has 11 cards inside of it. Next, let's check out what's going on to the west of us. No way, this is fantastic. So we found some remains. It says you discover the bloody remains of several small creatures that might have been rabbits or monkeys. They were obviously killed by some predator. And for nothing, no cards pulled, no successes needed, we could take a 001 and banish this. This means that we literally, right now, get to go ahead and take a piece of meat. This could not have popped out at a better time. I have a fire in place, and I promise you I did not rig this. Literally the first time actually seeing this card so far. This is still mind-blowing. Now, I could have chosen not to take this right now because the actual action is to go ahead and grab the meat that's on the ground. The second I do this, I get the meat, but then I have to banish this card in the middle, and there's a benefit actually on this card if I happen to leave it here that actually gives me an increased chance of going ahead and finding a success if I hunt, plus it gives me the bone resource, but none of those things I need right now. I need food, so I'm happy to go ahead and grab this for free, get the meat, and I'm going to go ahead and banish this card in the center, and then we're going to cook that meat up and also replace this card right here. Now, we've seen this card before because we have gone past this card in the past in order to get to the temple, but I'll read it anyway. It says a group of oddly shaped stone columns stands leading to the edge of a cliff that overlooks the valley far below. It's possible that the columns could have been formed by centuries of rushing water, but if they are not natural, who would have built such things and why? Now, one thing that I've noticed throughout this playthrough to this point, and many have actually mentioned this in the comments as well, those people that have either not played this before and are just watching my playthrough for the first time, or they've played this before, they kept mentioning to follow the wind or follow the leaves, that type of thing. So wherever these leaf resources or foliage resources have shown up, it seems to result in something good for the Forbidden Sanctuary in terms of finding a secret. Now, I remember back from previous episodes, I found a hut which had embers inside of it, meaning that something or someone lived there. But when I went and visited, I got nothing. So what I'm tempted to do now that the map is reset is go back to that hut and see whether or not there's anything there. Plus, I vaguely remember that there might have been a leaf or foliage icon there. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but just the embers alone have, well, ironically sparked my interest in heading back there. I'm going to head west, so I'm going to pull one card from my action deck, which I've got here. Examine the notes is what I received. So I'm able to move Mary from this location to here. I can choose if I want to put this into my hand, and I'm tempted to, but I really don't want to spend too many cards for no good reason. However, that's not a bad one to have. But I do have the availability, well, maybe not. I have one card in my hand I could swap for this one. I have the Knowledge is Power card, which allows me to get more experience. But I'd almost rather go after the 50 cards and see what they have for me, so they might have a better benefit. I do like XP, but this Examine the Notes one is kind of compelling. So what I'll do is I'll ditch the Knowledge is Power one. I have other cards in hand I could let go of, but I kind of like them. So I'm going to let that one go, and I'll grab Examine the Notes, put this in hand. We've now successfully completed our move, and I'm definitely going to check out this spot right here. Oh no, not again. I've been bit by spiders so many times recently, it's insane. We know this. We've seen the narrative on this before. So basically a spider has bitten me, and I have to make a mandatory action here to hopefully avoid having anything nasty happen to me, as what goes in the fail condition here does not sound nice. So I need 2 successes to pass this. I'm going to use a card from my hand called Valiant Heart Shall Not Fail, so I can discard this during the result step right now of an action you're involved in order to apply the following effect. So that's 2 stars. I didn't have to pull any cards from my deck because it's 0, and I take a 101 card, and as we know, 101 means I'm tired, but I'd much rather be tired than be bitten by a spider and go through that kind of grief. So what I'm going to do now is focus on getting rid of the tired condition, but as I mentioned earlier, my purpose right now is to investigate this hut that was empty before, which I know, because I visited it before, I could potentially rest there, which is exactly how you can go about getting rid of a tired condition. So this is why this whole system that I'm going through right now doesn't bother me in terms of spending 2 successes to get a tired condition. I think I'll be okay until I get to the hut. Now the downside with this though is that I do have to lose 2 cards off the top of my action deck because I have my character card, Red State card, and the Bloody card, which I have not found a body of water to get rid of that yet. So I'm going to take 2 cards off the action deck and throw them in the discard pile. That's kind of unfortunate, burning some of that wonderful food that I just consumed away. So we're lowering our deck a little bit further. All right, so my wound is healing up nicely. We're going to be checking out this cliff. I know it's a cliff because I've been here before. I won't go ahead and read it, but it basically says at the very top, it's a steep, foreboding cliff face towering over the valley, which we've discovered in the past. So we'll flip this over, and we do have to traverse it if I want to go down. And remember, the cool thing is when we get down this cliff face, I remember from prior videos that just to the right or to the east of us, there's going to be a hunting location. And that's what I'm going to gun for first to see if I can get more food before we head over to the hut, which is more further west. So well, let's go ahead right now and try and do a climb action. We're looking for 5 successes. We can pull only 3 cards. I am a little bit upset that I had to get rid of that last 2 success card because that really would have helped, but the spider bite certainly would have come back to bite me later on. So seeing as I'm doing a climb action looking for 5 successes, which is an insane amount, I'm going to go ahead here and use the rope. It'll give me a success as well as a 7 with a star, which will certainly help me out. So I'll go ahead and take that down from a 4 down to a 3. And I also want to do something else with the cards in my hand. I'd like to use my Remember card. I'm going to bring back the card I just used. I had a second Remember card in hand, so I'm going to use that right now to bring from the discard pile back into my hand the Valiant Heart Shall Not Fail card, which gives me 2 more successes. So now I'm going into this thing with, and this is 2 successes over here on the far inside. So 2 of those. I'll have to talk about the card in a second because I will have to take a 101 card. But as of right now, I've got 3 successes and the 7 with a star. And I'm going into this with a -1 on my pull. So that's not really going to be a big deal. I really just have to decide, and I don't have to use that -1, but I have to decide how many cards I want to pull to try to get 5 successes. I'm going to go ahead and decide to pull just 2 cards because I do have a tribal necklace that I got inside the temple that if I choose during the result step to discard this, I can draw up to 2 more additional cards from the discard pile and add the successes to your total. So I can literally fish in the discard pile for the successes I need. So let's go grab 2 cards and see if I get what I need right off the hop. So first one here, that's a good result right there. So that 7 is automatically going to be converted by this 7 star into 1 success plus another success. That's enough right there. I only need 1 card, but I had chosen to take 2, so I'll take the full 2, and we got forewarned is forearmed. Seeing as I know I'm going to be heading to some shelter soon, I'm going to go ahead and take the improved camp card. This is one of the cards that I got as an advanced skill earlier on, so I'll put this in my hand. And now that I've used a bunch of cards from my hand, I only have 3 blue skill cards in hand, so I can easily put this in as number 4. Well, this is good news because I finally got a tired condition that doesn't have any card pull associated to it, which is awesome. Again, you can't have more than 1 tired condition in your hand, so simply you just take the tired condition that you already have in your hand, and you're going to go ahead and get rid of this by returning it back. And you'll take the new tired condition and place it in your hand. And thankfully, as I just mentioned, no pull from the action deck this time. I think that might be either the first time this entire playthrough I've gotten a tired condition that didn't force me to draw from my deck. I'll gladly take that. All right, so you guys know full well that there is a hunting area right here. We've done this before, so I'm definitely going to go head over to 137. It says, though, I have to spend a card in order to do so. I am okay with that, so we'll pull 1 card up. We got Learn by Doing, and I will place this in my hand. Judging by the number of animal tracks at the foot of the cliff, this must be a game trail. So we're going to go ahead definitely and do this hunt action. 1 card is all I can pull, and I'm looking for as many successes as I can possibly get. I've got my club here with some things attached to it, which are going to help me out. If I'm hunting, I can get a success, a 7 and a 7. Those are stars behind them. And then another 7 with a star if I want by just ticking this down. So I'm going to definitely do that to make use. If I land a 7, I'm going to get 3 stars or 3 successes right out of that, which is pretty awesome. So I'm hoping for that. But if I don't get it, the other thing that I do have up my sleeve, thanks to the last temple I was in, is this tribal necklace where I can go right to the discard pile, as I mentioned earlier on, and grab 2 cards, or it says randomly draw 2 cards from the discard pile in order to add to your total. So you're not necessarily picking them. I might have stated that you pick them earlier. You do randomly draw them, but still, that could potentially result in something good happening. So without further ado, let's go ahead and draw 1 card and cross our fingers. No 7 on this one. We just got a single success, so it looks like I'll probably be using the tribal necklace. I'll read this card out so you guys can see how it actually works. It says, during the result step of an action you're involved in, you may discard this in order to randomly draw up to 2 additional cards from the discard pile and add their successes to your total. Pretty straightforward. 2 cards randomly drawn from the discard pile didn't result in anything too great, but I got 2 successes on these 2 cards right here. So we now have 1 on the shovel, we have 1 on this think card, we have the woven basket here for 3, and on the club we have another success. We have a bunch of 7s with stars, which didn't actually trigger, unfortunately. Based on my 4 successes, I'm going to pull 3 150 cards, which I've done around here. 1 of them came up empty-handed, so that's not good. The other 2 we have options, but I am and do have the bloody condition, which is this condition that's been sitting on me for quite some time because I haven't been able to wash it off, and it's going to take its effect right now. It says, reveal them. If at least 1 involved character is bloody, which I am, you must discard 1 of these cards without the keyword predator. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and focus on the vulture. That way I don't have to attack the snake. I can just go right here and take a 003 card and 3 001 cards, and then 1 involved character, which is going to be me, takes a 105 card. So as a result of taking down the vulture, I've got an experience point I can add in. Now I have a total of, I believe, 9 experience points, which is pretty good for the next time we're able to spend them, which should be soon enough. And we got some meat here, 3 of them. That's going to come in super handy to get our action deck back up later on when we find camp. And a bloody condition. I already have a bloody condition, so I'm just going to discard the one that's in my area. So now comes a big question. Knowing that I'm heading towards the hut to hopefully cook up this food I just got in order to replenish my action deck, the question is, do I want to get greedy? Do I want to stay here and be greedy and go ahead and try to hunt again? Now, I would need 4 successes now. It becomes harder because it's the gold version of the card now that the green one has been banished off, and I've got to try to really hunker down to get those successes, or I could wait because depending on what happens at the hut, I might get what I need. If I don't, then I can search elsewhere. I also know there's fishing areas around this valley as well on the way back to the Forbidden Sanctuary that could help me out. So maybe that's where I go instead. I do happen to have a bow, which can be used to help me with the fishing side of things, but it's currently not crafted. It's just in my hand at the moment. So maybe I actually hold off on going after a tougher hunt and see if I can, make do with what I have here and just head out. So saying that, the question becomes, which way do I really want to go here? Now, based on my past knowledge of the area, it's actually worse to head south, as the cost in this area is going to be a lot higher, just by 1 actually, than going over this area where the statue is and then circling around down here. So let's go ahead and head to the west. A thicket has caught fire after apparently being struck by lightning, and the flames seem to be growing in intensity. Now, I could do a dig action right now if I wanted to do that, but I don't want to burn cards at this point. I'm trying to get to the hut. That's my objective. So I'm going to do the bottom one here and just go ahead and discard this. Now, just before I do, I'm sure there's many of you yelling at me, don't discard it just yet. Do you not see the fire resource? Yes, I do. So I'm not going to discard it just yet. We are going to make use of, again, another timely, like I don't understand how this is panning out. I came out of a temple, I happen to find food on the ground, and then I come down from the cliff and I kill a bunch of things, and then I happen to find fire right beside me in a burning bush. Like, I feel like someone else is here. Like somebody is purposely messing with me on the 7th continent. So I'm going to take advantage of the fact that we have fire in the spot that I currently am, and this makes me even more tempted to hunt. I haven't actually moved out of here yet, but I'm going to go ahead right now before we discard this burning brush. I'm going to go ahead and consume all of this meat, which will give me back 6, 6, and 6 for a total of 18. Now, as extremely tempting as it is to go ahead and hunt again, based on the fact that it's a little bit harder, plus it's 250 cards I'm pulling from now, I'm going to hold off. I'm pretty happy with the number of cards I have in my action deck now. It's in the mid-20s, so I'm pretty happy with that. It's higher than my discard pile by a bit, which is nice. That's the first time it's been like that in a little bit. So we're going to go ahead now and discard this burning brush, and we'll place 122. Let's go ahead and move Mary over 1. It's going to cost me 2 cards off the top to do the movement. I have a learn by doing card in my hand, which I'm going to discard for -3, so it doesn't cost me anything to move Mary over. And I've gone ahead and path found a little further south, and I found some bees. This sounds wonderful. Hundreds of bees are buzzing around a hollow trunk. Your stomach rumbles at the thought of all the delicious honey. We actually ran into a similar card to this way earlier on, so there is the availability for me to potentially find honey here, or I could just discard this. Now, a 106 card, I'm forgetting off the top of my head what that will give me, but I think 106 is not a good one, if I remember correctly. I'm not too sure. But I could get some honey here. Now, do I have anything that I could use? I do actually. I have the war paint, and the war paint is attached to the club. Currently would give me a -2 on the pull, but give me 1 success. Oh, and then a 7 with a star. So it's not enough to get the 3 successes that I need. That's a bit tougher. So I would be going to my action deck to hopefully find the rest. That could be interesting though, because, well, I forget exactly off the top of my head how much the honey gave me back before. I don't think it was as good as 6 back. It might not be worth going after this. I think just because I'll be fishing for successes, and I don't really want to use the club for something so small, I'm going to just go ahead right now and probably say I'm going to discard this and take the 106. Well, that's not good. I've never had a 106 yet in this playthrough, and apparently it makes you hungry, so I just pulled a red state card. Now, the good news is there was no need to burn cards off the top of my action deck. There's no symbol underneath of it, but this is bad because now I have a total of, including this hungry one going into my pile here, a total of 4 red state cards. It's getting a little bit wild. All right, so Mary wants to continue her journey south. She's going to go ahead and use this card from her hand. Learning from your mistakes, -3 will reduce the cost of 2 down to nothing to get Mary to go south, and we'll explore further west. Mary has the ability to take a break right now, actually. It's a mandatory action, so I can go ahead and try to get 2 successes, and this will get rid of one of my tired states. Well, I only have 1, but it will help me get rid of it, so that's not bad. I might as well do this, and I have to. I'm forced into it. So let's go ahead and try to make this success. Now, I have nothing in my hands that can help me in terms of my cards, but I do have a deadfall trap in my inventory connected to my club. Has a durability rating of 2, which could give me 1 success and then 2 7 stars. So that's not bad. It's not exactly what I need, but it could certainly help. So it's tough because if I reduce that durability too low, I'll lose all of those things and won't be able to use them for hunting later on. So maybe in order to, because I know I really want to get rid of that state, let's go ahead and spend 3 cards, I'm going to say, from the top of the action deck to see if we can get the 2 successes we need. So here we go. First card off the top. Oh, the Curse of the Forbidden Sanctuary says no way for the first one. Next one up is, oh my gosh, I got 3 successes in 1 card. That is insane. So I hit it, but I chose to take 3 cards, so I got to pull the 3, and now I can choose which one I want to add to my hand. And this is fantastic because it looks like I can go ahead and get rid of my tired state. So this red state condition's out of my hand now. And I also got this card right here. So randomly take 4 advanced skill cards, and I can go ahead right now and spend the experience that I have, which is 9, to try to purchase something. So I got some options here. Here are the 4 cards that I pulled. I got the sled, javelin, spike trap, and pickaxe. It's insane that I literally got 4 things I can craft, because there's all kinds of other cards that can be used just kind of in the results step, or just blue skill cards in general, but a ton of craftable items here. Cost wise, this one is 4, this one is 4, this is 3, and this is 4. And I have a total of 9 experience points, so I can go ahead and spend these in any way I want. So I could go after a 3 and a 4, or 2 4s. That's really the only way I could divide this up. So I think I'm going to go after the javelin in the top right hand corner and the spike trap. Spike trap is really interesting. It has a 6 cost. It says, for a hunting action, you can keep a card, or if you keep a card with the keyword predator, you may immediately apply the consequence of the fight action as though the action had been a success, and then you discard this. So really, it's like you're basically a predator has fallen into your spike trap, and you can take advantage of that by putting one that has a keyword predator in this spike trap, and then of course you get the benefits of it, which is awesome. So that's really nice. It got a huge cost to put together though, but we might be able to find some things, and we know we've seen some of these resources around to cheapen that or just build it outright. We also have the javelin here. This is another high cost one I'm choosing. So I'm actually picking the 2 highest cost ones. I don't know if that's a wise choice or not, but still lots of these resources around. We lost the bone resource way earlier on. It popped up for a second, but we don't have it at the moment. Javelin you can use, but if it's a success in its use, then you discard this. It's gone. Basically, the javelin's gone into whatever it is, and it's not coming back out successfully. But if you are not successful as a result of using this, and the action isn't a success, you still get to keep your javelin. All right, so just so you guys are caught up in terms of what I did, spike trap is in my hand currently. The other one, javelin, that I just purchased, is shuffled into my action deck. I also spent 8 experience points to do this, and as you can see, we have found the hut. Now, one thing I just noticed that I missed and made a mistake on is I didn't go ahead and actually get the success I needed to move from this space into this space earlier on. So what I'm going to do to make up for that fact that I went ahead and used a -3 to basically just move right into here, which is fine for reducing the cost, but wasn't fine for actually getting the success I needed, I'm going to make that extra success add into this one. So it'll be a 2 card pull, and I can pull more if I want to try and get 2 successes to make up for it as I move from this location to this one. So with 2 successes needed, in order to help my odds, I'm going to go ahead and pull 3 cards. Here we go. Let's see what we got. First one off the top is the shovel. That gives us 1 success. Next card is bolas. That gives us the success we need. So right there we can move. We also got a 7 in there. And the third card is that one there. Actually, that's a great card for later on if I decide to go fishing. I just got to decide, do I want to put any of these or any one of them in my hand? I decided to take this card into my hand, and in order to make it fit, I'm going to have to get rid of something, so I'm going to let the bow go. So we made it back to the hut, and now I want to interact with that thing. You can see that it'll cost 1 card worth of effort from our action deck in order to pull that off. So let's go ahead and flip it over. We got learn by doing, a -3. This is actually a decent card. I always have trouble with these ones whenever they pop up because I really like to have them in my hand. I do have 1 card in my hand, the examine the notes, so I could do the whole taking 250 cards, but I do have something for improved camp, which might be worthwhile to keep that in tandem with. So I might actually let this learn by doing card go to the discard. Oh my gosh, look what we found. We got an actual individual in the hut. That's actually really cool. The first time I visited this location, there was no such individual. The fire was down to its very last embers, which is kind of the reason why I came back here, being that someone or something must have been in this hut. And sure enough, on my second visit, I found somebody. So let's find out more about who this person is. It says, an old man sitting by the fire stares at you at length and eventually speaks to you in a strange language. Will you try to communicate or get ready to fight? Oh, this is really interesting. I get to actually try to talk to the person or just battle them out. If you want to take the following action, you must discard 1 card with the keyword food or clothing from your inventory. So you got to give them like a gift, basically, is one of the options if you want to go the talking route. route. If you want to go the combat route, well, you're just going to go ahead with that. Of course, there's probably, well, the con there looks like a very interesting situation there. You can see there's a die listed as well as some card changes. We do have the fire resource at this location, and neither of these actions at the moment are mandatory. Now, just before I make my decision, I want to talk about something that you guys haven't seen yet so far in this playthrough, and that's this die with the pips here. You can see in this case, this die has 2 pips on it, and then this card here, the green back card, gets changed over to the gold back card. That particular icon, unless otherwise stated, means the involved characters, or in my case, character, has to remove a total of that many pips, so in this case 2, as chosen by myself across the values of the dice, resting on their items. So basically the durability of the items in your inventory are breaking down based on you failing the fight, but you get to choose which items take the hit. Well, you're probably noticing something in this shot. There is a club. Yes, I have chosen to do the second option, and that is to fight this individual. Now, I might have contemplated doing the first option and probably would have leaned more towards that if I had a card in my inventory with the keyword food or clothing. That is the only way I can do that first action. So because of this, I'm going to go ahead and fight this individual and see how this pans out. So I will be using my club. So I'll be ticking this down from 2 durability down to a single point of durability. So I have 3 things in a row here all attached together. If I can get 1 more with the aggressiveness keyword, I can keep this thing alive. That'll be something I'll be trying to focus on. In terms of what's in my hand, do I have anything? I do have this spike trap that I just got that would tick it up by 1. So that's probably something I'll want to build at some point, maybe while we're here at the hut. But right now, if I'm doing this fight action, it's 2 cards to pull, looking for 2 successes. If I use this, which I just did by reducing the durability, I get 2 stars for a fight. I get a 7 with a star, and then down below here I also get a 7 with a star. So at this point we've already got what we need in terms of being successful, but I still have to pull 2 cards, unfortunately, and I have no way to stop that from happening. So we're going to spend some energy here and see how this goes. So we already know we're successful, so we're just pulling these, and I can choose which of the cards I want. Oh, that's a tough decision because now I choose between 2 of my favorite cards. These remember cards are fantastic for pulling cards that you really want from the discard pile into your hand. But the -3 for the cost is huge because that would help me at least when I'm traversing across snow or areas that are going to cost me a lot more in terms of energy for movement. So I don't know which way to go here, but I'm leaning a little bit more towards the remember card. The remember card is now in hand, and I've gone ahead and discarded examine the notes which is in my hand to make room for it. We're now going to go down the success path after we successfully had a combat here with this old man. It says banish your terrain card and replace it with a 59 card. Banish this and replace it with a 63 card. The 2 cards replaced are the one that I'm actually standing on. As you can see, the hut is now demolished after I took a club to not only the old man, but also the hut that was there. It states right up here, the man lies in a pool of blood. The hut is now in disarray, and the fire died while you were fighting. So it's a good thing we were able to eat the meat we had prior to this because, well, we just lost our ability to have fire at that location. And you can see here, if we do an examine or search action, we can take a 73 card, or if we have this banner symbol, which I definitely do, as that is the banner symbol for the Forbidden Sanctuary. So we likely have found something very closely synced up, hopefully, fingers crossed, with a secret. I'm hoping. We'll see if that pans out, but everything so far that's touched that symbol in some way, shape, or form has always resulted in a secret. So let's try and pass this. So in order to pass this, and I don't really want to fail it because that would be bad, is I can pull as many cards as I want looking for a single success. So to guarantee this, or at least to, I shouldn't say guarantee, but to definitely increase the odds I'll see just 1 success, I'm going to pull 3 cards. It might sound like overkill, but you got to remember there's some curse cards in your deck that can really mess up the pull. So let's go ahead and grab 3 and see how this pans out. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I decided to do that because literally right off the top is a curse. Next card up is the Javelin, and it's not even got any successes on it technically until I could convert something or pair one of the other half stars up. And last but not least is Think. Oh my gosh. So I just barely scraped that one out. I ended up getting a total of 2 stars there. So I did succeed at this. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to take card 85. 85 states you find an old parchment carrying fresh stains of your victim's blood and you quickly examine it. We found it. Secret of the Sanctuary 3 of 6. A partially faded enigmatic note. Room Y, choose the one that is missing is what's stated, and you can literally see on the actual card itself drops of blood. That could not get any more thematic in terms of the choices I just made. For those of you wanting to see the card a little bit closer, I've zoomed in on it so you can take in the artwork there as well as the blood splatter on the card. This was really interesting. I wasn't actually expecting to find somebody there, and I was hoping to actually talk my way through this, but it appears sometimes you gotta use a club in order to get things done. I'm gonna go ahead and take the Javelin card into my hand, and I'm going to discard the Improved Camp card at this point. With 5 of the 6 secrets for the Forbidden Sanctuary, I'm feeling a lot better about potentially heading there right away. I think I might actually try and piece the puzzle together and head in there and see how well I can get through. Now, I don't have any leads in terms of where the 6th page could be. Now, there was one cave that I didn't actually dive into earlier on in the playthrough, but it appeared, or at least it sounded like there was something really bad in that cave, so I didn't venture in there. There's the risk that I could go and try and get in there and something really bad could happen, or maybe that's where this 6th secret is going to be found. I don't know. That's kind of part of the fun with all this stuff. I'd have to explore and venture even further, but for now I'm feeling pretty good about having 5 of the 6, so I think I'm going to have Mary start heading east back towards where the Forbidden Sanctuary is located, where we began our journey, and on the way I'm going to try and see if I can get her to do some fishing in order to boost up her action deck before we attempt to head in. Now, seeing as this location has the vine resource, I'm going to go ahead and craft the raft. And the reason I'm doing this is because I can pair this raft with the rope I already have and attach it and boost the rope's durability of 3 all the way up to 6, which would be pretty incredible. So I also get to take advantage of the fact I get to make this whole thing cheaper. It only costs me 3 to do so. I'm going to pull 3 cards right now to craft this thing. So we got this one here. A curse card, that's a good one to get rid of while we're crafting. And knowledge is power. This is the card that's going to help me the most with fishing, so I'm going to bring this one into my hand. And now I'm going to go ahead and attach the raft to the rope. They both have the keyword or share the keyword skill, and the raft will bump up the durability by 4. The maximum that the rope can go up to is 6. Just like that, we've combined the items. We also have the availability to use these 2 blue banners on the cards when they happen to pop up, and I think these will be useful items to have crafted when we go into the Forbidden Sanctuary. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and pay 1 card to have Mary move. I'm going to move her from where she currently is all the way over to here. The reason I want to go there is because if I go here, if I try to move out of this location, it's going to cost me a success, or at least I need to find a success, whereas this one would be free to move out of. They both cost the same amount in terms of how much it costs effort-wise to get out of there. But first, before we move Mary over there, we need to go ahead and pull a card from the action deck, so we'll do that. We got the Woven Basket, and at this point I don't necessarily need this item, and happy with a lot of the cards I have in my hand that are helping me towards the hunting that's going to be coming up. So I'm going to put that Woven Basket aside, and yes, increasing your inventory size is a very helpful item to have, but remember, I have the Remember card, which can pull that back if I really want it. So Mary has moved over or further east and has revealed Stalked. You have an uneasy feeling that you are being followed. Backtracking is the only way to be sure. The active player must perform one of the following actions alone. So whether I'm trying to spot and observe or I'm trying to think or compose myself, in either case, I need to pull 2 cards or more and get a single success, or I can, this one is only available, or actually is the worst of the case, these. If you're paranoid, you have to pull 3 plus looking for 1. So I'm not paranoid, so I can go with one of these 2. So really I'm just pulling 2 cards looking for 1, and I can pull more if I need to. I think 2 cards should get me the 1 success I need, so I'll probably just stick with that. So let's go ahead and reveal 2 cards. Fingers crossed I don't see any curses. There we go. We got it in the first ones. We got panpipes, and I'll pull 1 more, as I mentioned, a remember card. Now, out of these 2 items right now, I'm happy again with the cards I have in my hand, so I'm not going to be putting either of these into my hand. The card states here, these are footprints or animal tracks. Someone or something is on your heels. Take a 100 card or a 103 card if you are already paranoid. Those red state conditions are really starting to pile up for me. I have the bloody condition, the hungry condition, and Mary's actual character card on top of this paranoid card. The good news is this one that I pulled also doesn't have that card drawing, or I should say card discarding from the action deck, so that's a plus, but I really do need to focus and plan to focus on getting rid of some of these red state cards or conditions very soon. Now the good news is that this one doesn't stick around long at all for me, as this paranoid condition states at the bottom, return this if there is no other character on your terrain card and on adjacent terrain cards, and there isn't, so this can be returned. Mary is going to move again from this location down south. It'll cost 2 action cards to do so. Flipping over the first one, we have a -3. That would have been nice to have at some point, and a curse. I'm not going to actually take either of these cards in my hand. Again, I'm preparing for a big time hunt in the very near future. After seeing the cost of this next move action, I definitely want to take that -3. I'm going to take it into my hand, and I'm going to ditch my remember card. I think this is a good card to have right now to reduce how much my action deck is being trampled to get back to this Forbidden Sanctuary, or actually to get really back to this fishing hole first and then on to the Sanctuary. So moving right along, now that we're at this location, I'm going to go ahead and explore to the east. It appears I found a giant, disgusting insect lurking ahead of me, and it says you'll have to fight it if you want to cross its territory. So I don't have to, it's not mandatory, but if I want to keep going, I'm gonna have to fight this thing. You can see I have to pull 4 cards or more based on the initial check, and I need 4 successes. That's extremely high for this thing. And also, if I fail this, which there's a possibility of, although it's not too high if I use my club, but my club is on its last legs unless I do some crafting before I deal with this thing. But it could result in some bad things happening to me. As it says right there, you're injured, and your character's going to take, as you're going to land on the insect spikes. Like, all that sounds really bad. So I don't really want to run into a situation like that, so I could take the path south, because I'm really just trying to head to that fishing area. So maybe what I'll do is I'll pathfind this to the south first, find out what's there, and then hopefully have a decision or have an easier path one way or the other. Well, forget things being easier. I've got a card here called Trapped. You are suddenly stopped in your tracks, your ankle caught in a strange artifact. A lever on the side seems to activate the gears. Will you push it or pull it to free yourself? Now, as you guys can see from this card, there's a very intricate device here. It's wrapped around my ankle. It's telling me that I'm trying to obviously pull it apart, but really what you have to focus on is this lever. It's either going to be pushed in the upright position or the downright position, and then it's going to interact with this first cog here, which is then going to interact with this cog and go all the way through all these cogs to get over here. And really you have to basically follow the flow of this machine to ensure that whichever way you actually push the lever, whether it's up or down, it's going to release things. Now, going through this, my belief is that I need to pull it down. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm choosing to do. Oh no, it says blast. The trap tightens around your ankle. Well, it proves I made the wrong decision. It says you fear that your shin bone will be crushed, but the trap only twists your ankle, causing a sprain and quite a fright. Firmly grasping both blocks of stone, you try to free your aching ankle. the active player takes a 104 card, and we have to do a mandatory strength check here to get this thing off of our ankle. Oh no, things are really starting to compound on me here in terms of these red state condition cards. We are now injured, and this card does have the symbol that says we have to go ahead and discard a number of action cards from our deck equal to the number of red state cards in our hand. I currently have 3. If you count the character card as well, you don't count the card we just pulled. So Hungry is 1, Bloody is 1, and Mary Kingsley's character card is 1. So that is going to remove 3 cards from my action deck, and I just want to let you guys know it's getting really close again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is all I have left in my action deck at this point. Things are getting kind of sketchy really quick. But we're certainly not out of the problem itself just yet. We still have to make that strength check, and it's a 1-card pull only with a single success needed. However, I can go ahead and use my rope, which will help me actually reduce the cost and give me the success I need. I'm absolutely going to do this in order to ensure I pass this. It says, thankfully, you managed to free yourself from the trap using the rope. At this point, it seems that every decision I make is going to be a crucial one. I currently only have 6 cards left in my action deck. Things are getting extremely tight, and I'm getting a little bit worried that I may not be able to actually make it to the destination of where the fishing hole is in order to find food fast enough before my action deck depletes, and then my discard pile gets shuffled and flipped over and becomes the new thing I draw cards from. And of course, if we land a curse, everything goes downhill. Now, in that situation, you can still replenish the action deck through eating and other means, but you're really just preventing the worst case scenario, and you're always going to be on your toes that you could pull a curse card at any moment once you get through that action deck, which is a little bit terrifying. So what we're going to do here is, I was originally thinking of heading south and kind of going down this way, but my worry is that it's probably about 4 cards away, and I don't think with 6 cards I'm going to be able to make it there. Even if I have this -3 in my hand, which can help me, I still need to get a success just to get out of this space. It might make more sense to actually traverse up here and make an attempt here at hunting a second time. What we're going to do, what we can, the best we can. So we're going to have Mary move north. So it's going to cost 3 cards off the top, looking for a single success. First one here, we got the -3, but we do have a success rate on that results side, so we definitely got it. Unfortunately, we do have to pull 3 cards for this, which is going to drain the deck quite substantially. And I can choose to pick one of these cards and put it in my hand. It will most likely be the -3, although I could see how the snowshoes could come in handy as well. All right, so talk about being on your last legs. I have a single pip remaining here on this club, and if I go ahead and use it when I try to do this hunt action here, you can see I'll get a star, a 7 with a star, 7 with a star, and another 7 with a star down below. It's worth it to me to do this to try to get the best hunt possible, but no matter what I do here, I have no way to actually, now I could use a -3 at this point to save myself, which could work, but then if you take a look, just having the 1 single star and then 3 7s with stars doesn't even allow me to get to the first level of success. I need 2 stars total to get that. So there's really no way to get around being successful at this hunt and not draining my action deck, unfortunately. So we'll go ahead and pull the final 3 cards, putting us in a dire situation. Camouflage outfit, there is a single success. We got a success with a star, and we got another success. The friction fire card is going to go into my hand, and I'm going to discard the spike trap as it terrifies me to craft something so expensive at this point. But what terrifies me even more is the fact I just barely was successful at this hunt. As you can see, 4 successes is what I needed to be successful in the first layer, giving me 2 250 cards. Now, I had a lot of 7 with stars, but none of them actually converted, and I wasn't able to, which would have really boosted me up, but it didn't do anything this time around. So 2 250 cards. Let's go ahead, shuffling these ones up. The 250s, we'll draw 2. First one out of the gates is a mole rat, and the second one is empty-handed. That is not good. All right, so you got my action deck there on the right-hand side, so you guys can see it. It's completely depleted right now. That's actually the discard pile. What once was my action deck is sitting there. We're going to deal with that in a second. First, I'm going to talk quickly about what we got as a result of the hunt here. So based on the fact I have the bloody state condition, then I have to discard 1 card that does not have the predator keyword. So mole rat will stick around. Empty-handed is going to disappear, which is fine for me. And again, that's really all about just, diluting your options in terms of your hunting ability. So I got lucky there. I had the ability to chuck away an empty-handed card as I've had in the past. The mole rat is here, and if I want to do anything with this guy, well, I guess I'm forced into some combat with this red banner around it. And because my action deck is now all in the discard pile, I'm going to take this discard pile, shuffle it up, and then I'm going to flip it face down. All right, so the discard pile now is face down. This is where things get extremely stressful, because now if I pull a curse card at any point when revealing cards from the discard pile, I'm going to be in big time trouble. That's an instant death for my character. So things have gotten a lot rougher. Also, it's worth noting that if I happen to get a red state card that has me drawing cards, like I used to draw them off the action deck, I instead draw them from the discard pile, and in the same fashion, if I land a curse card, I am also dead. So very stressful. The only thing I can do to mitigate the potential of pulling a curse card out of the discard pile is to basically replenish my action deck, and that could be through something like eating. So if I can kill this mole rat and I can actually cook it, I can take some cards, put it into a newly replenished action deck, and I draw from there first, which would keep me safe from anything nasty happening. But very soon after that, I'd be back to drawing from the discard pile once that runs out, and I'm right back into a very, very tight situation. So if I want to be successful at trying to kill this mole rat, I'm probably going to need to pull 2 cards, although I don't feel like that's even enough because I don't have anything right now crafted wise. I just have a rope and I have a raft attached to it, and neither of these items are going to help me with any type of combat currently, as we recently lost the club when we tried to do some interesting things earlier on, and now we're kind of in a little bit of a pinch here. So what we're going to do is I'm probably going to pull 3, although I'm really not sure if that's a good call or not, because again, like I've seen this happen before, curses pop up fairly often. You can get lucky, but we could die right here, and that's kind of the stress. I could go for just 2 cards, but I don't think that I'm lucky enough to get the 2 successes I need. So I'm gonna probably go with 3. This is risky, so here we go. First card off the top. Okay, good. That's a little bit of a stress reliever, but terrible for the results. Half of a star. Next one coming off the top. Okay, that's good. I mean, it's terrible, but at least it connects. So we got ourselves a paddle that can connect here with the torch. So we have 1 success. Good thing I chose to go with 3. And, no! No, that's not what I wanted to see. Well, I guess I was messed either way. If I had gone with just the 2 cards, I still wouldn't have actually killed off the mole rat. It would have been just in as bad a situation, and shortly after would have died anyway. But in this case, it looks like Mary has met her end. That is a pretty brutal kick in the pants, I can tell you right now, because I had 5 of the 6 secrets that I needed to get into the Forbidden Sanctuary and have success, and I wasn't able to get back to the Forbidden Sanctuary. So I really think once I came out of that temple, I was really pushing things at that point. I was really trying my best to get to locations that I thought would give me potential secrets, or at least seemed interesting enough that I hadn't fully discovered what could be there yet. But it obviously dragged me too far and depleted too much of my energy faster than I could possibly replenish it. And now it, kind of hurt me. The only thing I could have done differently in retrospect would have been the first time I hunted here earlier in this video, and I was decently successful. I didn't get a ton of food, and then that option to go hunt again presented itself. I could have at that point in time gone and done the hunt. In retrospect, I should have definitely done that, because if I was already there, I could have gone ahead and risked the extra card that I just recently gained. I think I had fire at that location. I definitely should have double dipped on the hunting. That is a lesson learned. So I walked away from that, and you can see it was extremely costly to go all the way to the hut and then come all the way back, especially because the snow area there is so hard to traverse through, and I didn't have the snowshoes pop up or anything that could help me with that movement until later on. And ironically, the snowshoes literally just popped up recently, and at that point, it was no use to me. I'd already gone through the snow a number of times and would only be going through it one more time if things worked out. Long story short, I had an absolute blast with this game. I highly recommend this as a solo game. It is a ton of fun, and as you can see, even just playing through this the first time here on camera for this curse, it's really interesting because now I have a real good knowledge of where to find particular secrets. I can be a lot more efficient on my second run. I don't see myself running into some of the same mistakes. However, the seventh continent isn't going to be in the same pattern or in the same flow every single time. Yes, the continent will stay placed, but there's all these clouded areas that are going to change and they're going to hit you at times you're not expecting. So even though you have everything in mind in terms of where things are and you're going to go for your next run to try and do this, things can crop up and the situation is going to change based on what you've crafted and what you have in your hand. You know, it's not always going to be clean cut, but having knowledge in this game is extremely valuable. What a game, what a game. I really enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun playing through this, and I'm really happy that so many people enjoyed watching this entire thing. One thing that is a plus, or at least on the positive side of this loss, is I didn't end up spoiling anything to do with the Forbidden Sanctuary itself. We never even got a chance, besides going in there initially just to investigate that first room, we never really dug deep into that. So you'll be able to now know or have some knowledge just like I did as to where some of the things are located to help you on your journey, but you still have to be able to traverse through the Forbidden Sanctuary successfully, and I didn't even find all 6. I only found 5, which is pretty good, but there's another one out there to be found. So hopefully this helps you get a good understanding of how the game flows and operates, and helps you make an informed decision on whether this is something you'd be interested in the solo capacity. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, keep on rolling solo.